Are we on?
Think
I
so.
yeah,
Yes. Yes, it says recording. Well, welcome, Sherry. It's a pleasure to have you. We are super excited to speak to you and get to know you a little better. I always tell Chelsea that even when I was interviewing her and interviewing Christina, I got to know a little bit more about them, even though we've been friends for so
yeah,
long.
right.
Right?
What was it?
It's that you're asking them questions you don't normally ask.
Yes, exactly. And I think our first question is always about your beginnings. I know that you have an interesting story. You started at Women's Physique and really, really got so successful in women's bodybuilding. I don't quite recall your journey during women's physique. To be honest, I'm quite new to it too, if I think about it, because sometimes I speak to the girls and I'm like, back in 2015 when it started, and then Chelsea was like, no, Denalyn Bailey came on like in 2000 what, 10 or 11?
She was the 2013 Miss Olympia.
Yeah, I mean,
Women's Physique, I think, came out in like 2012, maybe 2011.
amazing. So Sherry, tell us a little bit about your beginning.
I started in the NPC. I wanted to do figure. I thought I was a figure girl until I realized that that's not the shape of my body.
We all think that, we all start that.
Well, I first wanted to do bikini. I walked in like with those shoulders, absolutely not. I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to try to do a competition. So yeah, I did both figure and WPD when I first started out. I kept playing like second, and at nationals I got fifth in figure, but then that's when I won my pro card in WPD. And I first did a pro show in 2018 was the first year, and so I competed 18, 19, and 20 in women's physique. Really, the highest placing I ever got in that division was third at Tampa. I did win the Masters that year as well, but third in the Open. So I decided to take a year off, and I took 2021 just to train and try to grow in thinking that I was coming back to WPD. And I had put on enough density. My coach thought that I would be a better fit for women's bodybuilding. And, at that time, they had just started bringing women's bodybuilding back. And so, people like Sheena, just some of the girls that were on a little bit more of the smaller side, from the past. He was like,
Hmm.
I kept saying, we took a year off to grow into WPD. Like, what do you mean I'm women's bodybuilding now? No, I'm not. Um,
Right.
but I was willing to take a chance. So he told me, he's like, just do. I was gonna do. I think we had plans to do Tampa the whole time, but Chicago was like a couple weeks, ahead of that. And he's like, why don't you just jump into Chicago and women's bodybuilding, see how it goes. And if
What
it
year was that?
that was
2022.
2002,
That was my
Okay.
pro debut show.
yes. So that year, I went head to head with Angie Yo at Chicago. She ended up winning the show second. I think Chelsea got third. And I was really shocked because I was like, wow, this is the best I've ever placed, and it's in women's bodybuilding. I'm like, well, let's go ahead and try it again. So I actually, no, let me take that back. The first show I did in women's bodybuilding was in Atlanta, and I got second to Michaela. And then I did Chicago and got second to Angie. And then we went to Tampa and I ended up getting third to that's when Chelsea won Tampa.
Hmm.
So that whole season, I was up there. So I was feeling like, okay, maybe this is my, spot and I am better in this division than women's physique. I do have a little bit wider of a waist. I've had just my frame itself, I think fits women's bodybuilding a little bit better. So yeah, so we just kind of rolled with that, and I thought after that, like I was knocking on the door of winning a show, so I didn't really need to take another year off. So I took my off season, and I said, I'm going to jump into the very first show of 2012. See if I can win it. I knew, it was a little bit of a strategy because I knew that most of the Olympians wouldn't be doing that show. It's too soon afterwards. So we went to Vancouver, and I did end up winning Vancouver. That was my first Olympia qualification show. That was in 2023. Then
Amazing.
yeah. In 2024, last year, we ended up qualifying again. I won the Chicago Pro after coming in second at Portugal. So, yeah, it's just kind of been a whirlwind couple years.
Yeah, that's amazing. When did you get your pro card then? What year was that?
Teen, yeah. And then I went.
2018.
So I got my pro card in 2018, and I didn't compete in women's physique until 2019. So I'd only done 2 years of women's physique. Yeah.
I love to hear how the progression, like you 2018, you just got your pro card and then it took a couple years for you to actually step on Olympia, but it seems like when you did that, you were fully like a much better athlete.
Yes. And to be honest, like my goal was never to be. I never pushed like that. When I started competing, I just kind of wanted to do a bucket list, see how I do, check it off, get in the best shape of my life, and move on. I never sought out to say, one day I'm going to be on the Olympia stage. And it just sort of took on a life of its own. And I didn't really know, honestly, going into it. Even when I got my pro card, I'm like, okay, like, so now what? Like, what does that mean? What do we do next?
Yeah.
And I didn't know everything that it took really to present yourself professionally on stage. My coach didn't really push me in the direction to find a coach or to really worry about my presentation. That was never addressed. Basically, he told me, for my evening routine to just go out there and hit the mandatories like 2 times in a row with a song and get off the stage.
Well,
It wasn't until I got my ass kicked a few times, and I'm like, well, shit, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, right? And so then
yeah,
it,
absolutely.
taking it seriously and really more than just training and diet. Yeah.
Prior to bodybuilding, did you have any beginnings in any different sport? Were you a pretty active person?
I've always just been. I mean, I've been active. I would train in the gym, but I was more cardio focused, and then weights. I was intimidated. I just used the machines because I knew how those worked, but I never picked up free weight. I really was uncomfortable. So I would do a lot of classes, kickboxing and those kind of things. All the quote unquote female type of exercises. And it wasn't until my ex husband, I was getting married and I wanted to get into shape for the wedding. And so he took me into the gym and started teaching me how to train. And I really fell in love with it. But as the years on, I didn't really focus on it. I was having a family and that was my priority.
Yeah.
I always had a healthy diet. I never really got too overweight until after my third child. And then I couldn't get the weight off. Jesus, where I need to start working out. So then I started doing these beach body videos at my house. You guys ever?
I love those.
Because I had 2 kids and I couldn't go to the gym. I didn't have any time. So I would get up and I got to the point where I had gone through all these videos and I felt like I was getting stronger. I told my ex-husband I want to start going to the gym, and he was good with watching the kids in the evening, and I was training. And after about a year of that, a girlfriend said to me, "Why don't you do a bodybuilding competition? Give yourself something to work towards." And I'm like, yeah, that'd be fun.
That's amazing.
That I think this is where I would be, 9 years later.
Wow, that's and Sherry, see, I'm learning new things. I didn't know that you have three kids.
I do. I have a 21-year-old daughter, a 19-year-old son, and a 12-year-old son.
That's amazing.
Um,
And do they support? Do they enjoy bodybuilding?
it's funny because it has switched over the years. When I first started, my daughter was super supportive. She thought it was cool. She thought it was great that I was outside of being a mom. All of her friends were like, "Wow, your mom looks amazing. How is she doing?" So she took a lot of pride in that. Um, and then at the time, my son was like 13, and he was embarrassed. He was mortified. He hated it. The kids at school would say things like, "Oh, but your mom could, kick your dad's ass." Just when you're a 13-year-old boy, you don't want any attention drawn to you or your family
Your mom.
or your right. So he begged me to stop. I remember the line. He was like, "Why are you crying? Why can't you get a treadmill mom like the rest of the moms?"
That
Why
is
can't you
so
be
funny.
normal?
And I tell him like, "Look, I'm not living my life, for the acceptance of 13-year-old boys. Like I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm a mother, and I expect that. funny because now, like, he trains in the gym with me. He's comparing biceps to me, bragging about the gains he made in college, and we have learned to like bond over bodybuilding, and I've taught him proper form and technique, and he really likes training together, and he's proud of me, and I'm proud of the accomplishments now that he gets it. And also, I think fitness and gym time has like gotten more popular with kids his age. So it's become more accepted. It's become more accepted that women are in the gym. He wants a girl that goes and trains now. Like, he's not dating some girl who's not into fitness. So it's just funny how it turns. Whereas my daughter decided to move out and become a nun, and she lives in a and she's always come to my shows. Like, I've dedicated routines to her because that was her favorite, thing to watch, and she really enjoyed that part of it. And so last year I did
Is
a
that why you picked that song?
yes, yes, and I
Wow.
be really like excited and proud about it. And I went to visit her and I showed her the video, and I guess it offended her that has been basically told now that it's inappropriate to see women in the flesh. And again, she went and had, like a whole conversation with her priest about it, which I'm mortified by. I'm like, what? So
Oh
I'm,
my
no, you're my daughter. I'm your mother. You've seen me naked. You've seen me in a bikini. You've seen me competing.
You've come out of me.
yeah.
I said, now all of a sudden it's a sin, and I can't share this part of my life with you. And I have to respect that. And she just said, Mom, it's not appropriate for me to see that now. You can talk to me about your competitions. You can tell me. She said, but I no longer want to visually see that. So I have to respect where her standards are and her beliefs are. But it's just funny how it is totally. And then my youngest son, he just adores everything I do, regardless. He's such a mama's boy. He gets
That's
excited
great.
about parts. He's like, "Oh, the veins are coming back." But he likes off season when he calls me squishy. You squish. But he doesn't put any thought into it either way. I mean, I've been training and competing since he was 5, so in his mind, like, I've always had muscle. This is how his mom's always looked. He doesn't give him.
That's amazing. And I think that now going back to your daughter, it's going to be it will progress, I believe, in her faith, that she will see things a little bit less um like harsh. And I say this because my father is a pastor in Brazil, and when he first became a pastor, he was very harsh on me in certain things. So I was just 15 years old. I had red hair, I had a punk rock band, I had like all this crazy, like, 15-year-old rebel. So he was so harsh on, like, you should stop listening to this metal music and this, and just now, so many years forward, he's so understanding and laughs about it sometimes, and he's, are you still listening to that crazy music? And I think that it goes by the studies that they do and the development in their faith, to see that maybe at the beginning, when they listen to all the things that they listen, of the beginning of histories in mankind, they take it to offense everything, and then as they progress, it becomes a little bit more understanding and having more compassion in differences in people.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. And I it's trying to discover what and where she is in her faith. That's a whole process that takes years to really develop. So I'm trying to give her that space to do that, and understanding, and I have just come out and told her that I will respect that, but you have to respect me. You made this decision to change your life. I'm who I've always been. I am not any different, now. And just because your beliefs have changed, you can't expect me to change my life, and you can't change how you feel about me, because I'm being true to myself. And I told her too, I don't believe in a God that judges and would punish me for living, the life that I'm choosing to live. We have our little bit of differences, but yeah, we're learning to get around it.
Yeah, that's good. That's kind of normal between, kids and mom. I had my beginnings too in bodybuilding was pretty rough because my mother did not accept for many years, my father either. My mom was a nurse. She's retired now, so she kind of knew what was going on with the preparation and she knew what that meant. So she was concerned. She was worried about my health and everything. But now she understands a little bit more. We don't talk much about it. I'm not the kind of daughter that goes and ask her to go to competitions or share much. Sometimes I find it so fascinating that Natalia's mom is there screaming, and I'm like, sometimes I wish my mom would do that. But
Same with
she
Michaela.
still, yeah, she's in Michaela, yes.
Hmm.
But she still keeps up with, she knows when my show is coming and she respects that. She's like, "Oh, you're not coming to Brazil now. I know you're competing, but after you compete, you come." And so she knows, but she doesn't
Really,
really
you know,
participate.
yeah, and I get that. I know that, we're socially not the norm, and it makes some people uncomfortable. And, I'm not trying to push my way of life on anybody, but I expect, other people to just mind their business and let me do what I'm doing. It's really
Amen.
not causing any harm to anyone else, so it should not be a concern to anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Question for Sherry. Okay, so the one thing that is extremely impressive about you is how you've been able to continue to build muscle at your age. I mean, when you jumped from 2022 and continued going on with bodybuilding, you just kept adding more and more muscle every year. And I'm like, dude, how does she do this? Like at her age, it's just so extremely impressive. So I was curious, what is it you, since you're not like doing women's physique, you're not having to hold back anymore? Are you training harder? Like, what's been the difference to help you gain all of that muscle, you think?
Chelsea, I don't really know exactly. I've always trained with pretty good intensity, but I think there's a couple things. My first coach told me, you're just a hyper responder. You're somebody who can put muscle on easy because it is a little bit age defying what I'm doing at my age. And I'm not doing any kind of supplementation or anything beyond what, anybody else in our
Is
Exactly,
division
yeah.
doing, yeah, the norm.
training, the last 5 years. I've been training with my boyfriend versus training alone. And I think that has made a huge difference for me just to have somebody pushing me, getting those last reps that I probably wouldn't have pushed myself to get, previously on my own. The main thing I think is when I decided, like, I don't want to come in at the bottom. I want to take this seriously. And I started living my off season and my prep as a bodybuilder. I plan, I still train, just as much and just as heavy in off season that I do in a prep. And when I first started, I didn't take my off season as seriously. I didn't
Yeah,
realize, this is an all year thing. And as soon as I did that, a lot had changed for me as far as
that's
being able,
awesome.
and not even so much add the muscle, but maintain what I had put on previously, and not kind of lose that in the off season. So, but other than that, I don't know. I mean, I keep waiting to like hit a wall where I can't grow anymore, or I'm not, but so far it hasn't happened.
Yeah, so far
Just
it's
late
amazing.
life, I didn't start training when I was 30 or 20. I'm not 20 years into this. So I'm a little fresher as far as the amount of wear and tear on my body. So I think that has something to do with me being able to do this longer.
Interesting.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And Sherry, if you don't mind me asking, because I don't know, how old are you? Because I have no idea.
I'm going to be 50 in May.
You don't look
amazing.
50.
I know, not at all. That's why I had to ask, like, what
No.
the fuck are you doing to put all this muscle on? Cause damn, girl,
Dude,
like,
if you told me 38, I would be like, yeah.
That's what a lot of people say. So I'm thankful. I mean, I'll take that. But yeah, no, I'm going to be.
I
Yeah,
mean, 50 is sexy. It's a sexy year. Like, if it doesn't, because I think of, like, for example, my mom is 75 and she acts and does things like she's 45-year old because she's has so much energy and she looks so amazing too. So it's just now look how many years you have ahead, that is like to feel amazing because she was, I mean, even though she's not a huge fan of the hardcore extreme bodybuilding, but she has always been into fitness.
yeah. And that's really what it is. Take care of yourself. You're eating well, exercise. You you're not out drinking every night. I mean, I used to be a party, and I that I don't think if I would have continued down, that road that I'd be in the position that I am in now. I know that really wears, on your body and how you look. And um, so just, not drinking anymore and not participating in extracurricular things that, I used to do, has prolonged, a little bit of my life for sure. And so I hope that,
Uh-oh, we lost her.
We lost her.
Oh, there she is.
She's back. Can you hear me?
We can't hear her.
No. Can you hear us? I can edit it after. I wonder if it's her internet. Are you back? Chelsea keeps eating.
Get it in. Protein
I
ice cream.
can't hear you for some reason. She's gonna come back. I'm gonna have to edit it.
Doggos, you joined the party.
Hi guys.
Look at Tito saying hi.
No, look at his face. They're in the corner.
There's Scooby, right? You can't see him.
Hi Scooby. My nose is so clogged.
Oh, that sucks. Maybe some allergies because like the weather's been changing.
I think it's a combination of everything. Like allergy,
All that cocaine you're doing, Amanda.
all the cocaine, man. The cocaine. Look at
The
those
cocaine.
biceps. Look at that.
you can see me and hear me now.
Yes, we hear her. Yeah.
She's
Jeez,
back.
sorry.
It's okay. I can edit it after. It's super easy to edit it.
All right. I don't
Does it say that it's recording now? It's good, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, perfect. So, going back to what we were saying, like you look amazing, Sheri.
Well, thank you. The one thing I worry about, I don't know if it makes any difference, but I don't mind telling people how old I am because I hope that like it inspires women, middle-aged
Yeah,
women,
fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
to start working out. And I really want to like scream at the mountaintops like how important resistance training is for osteoporosis and bone health and just women's health and longevity in general. But then at the same time, I'm like, does the IFBB judge me on stage like, oh, irrelevant, she's old now, like we don't want to place her.
Mm,
I get caught in that like wanting to tell people how old I am and wanting to hide it because I'm afraid it's going to affect things. But
I don't
Celebrate
think
that.
so because Sandy, when I go to her seminars, she uses a lot of women as like the model when she's talking about women in progress. Like I remember the last seminar we went, it was about like 5 weeks ago. She spoke about somebody for like 15 minutes and just saying like this, this is the model of somebody who has been competing for so many years and look how amazing she looks. So she used that as an empowerment for everybody that was there.
good, that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I do hope that when people look at me or look at my story that they see that like wow, she was a mom of three, she had a job, she was in her 40s when she started, continued well into her 50s or mid 50s or however long I decide to do this for, that it empowers women to know that it's not too late. I don't Neither one of you have kids, so you're not really in like the mom realm, but most
Yeah.
moms give up themselves when they have kids and they stop caring how they look or they feel like it's selfish and they don't take the time away from their families, not realizing that by taking care of yourself you are taking care, you are in effect, are healthy, you have more energy,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
But as women we're kind of told you get to a certain age that you shouldn't be worried about those things, and so I hope that I'm an example of you can break that barrier and not have to succumb to that because it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Amen.
We
That's
all
amazing.
Absolutely.
look good in our skin no matter how old we are.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like again, it's super impressive because it's not only you are healthy and fit, like you look so extraordinary for and like you said, it goes against what people say, right? Oh, when you get to your 40s, you're losing, X percentage of muscle every year. But yours was the opposite. You're like, you just damn.
But you got to work for it, right?
Yeah, and that's amazing. But it makes sense what you said because I think about those things too. It's like how we don't have a lot of research really or studies because we are such a small niche, but we don't know much about what happens to a human body or a female body to be so long on this protocol that we need for bodybuilding. Of course, I have mad respect for people like, for example, Natalia Coelho, who is so young and she already has been on the top for so long. But what does it mean if she continues until she is 40? That would be 20 years on this. Like, how we don't know anything about it, right? For how long can the body respond and be okay? Not only respond, not necessarily speaking, responding on how you're looking on the stage, that would be irrelevant. I really want to know what would it be health wise.
Yeah. And, and that is a concern. And, I think that's why it's really important to stay on top of your blood work and make sure that you're staying healthy and checking those. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that it's not enough to just check that at the end of your season. I'm going to start doing it before I compete, in the middle of my prep, at the end of my prep, because there's a lot of fluctuations that can happen for women, especially. And I think it's really important for you to have a grasp on how your body's handling. It can change in an instant.
Absolutely.
The longer I'm doing it, the more I realize that that's an important thing.
Yep. And what do you mind sharing what's going on right now as far as just your plans for the season or next year? What?
So, I wasn't sure if I was going to like announce this publicly, what has happened to me, but I think I am going to go ahead and just talk about it a little bit, if that's okay. So other people, maybe if they're in the same situation, or I don't know. I'm just going to tell my story, but I'm not going to compete this year. I had full intentions on competing. I was going to do the Masters Olympia and the Rising Phoenix, and that was probably all I was going to do this year. But I have not been able to train or have an off season yet since the Olympia. I had a complete hormonal crash where I had untraceable amounts of estrogen, progesterone, and a very minute amount of testosterone. And that has gone on the last 5 months, to the point where it was physically debilitating, mentally very straining, as far as just overall depression and uncertainty as to what was going on with my body. I felt like I was 80. I really, like, every joint in my body hurt. I couldn't sleep. I was having night sweats and hot flashes, and my cognitive, like, just level had been declining. I couldn't remember words that I was trying to say. I couldn't, um, remember people's names. It was very scary what was happening. And I, in the past, had never gotten my hormones tested, stupidly. I was never told to by a coach. So all I had ever done was my just basic comprehensive, blood panel, just checking for my, organs and bloods and stuff in that regard. So I knew something was really wrong. And so then I had my blood work done. And when I found all those results, it took a while to get in touch with an HRT clinic, have them review my bloods, talk to a specialist. And with that being said, with my age and everything, I had basically entered into complete menopause and had no hormones. So I had to go on HRT, I was a little nervous about that as well. I had some, I guess, misinformation that was outdated, as far as taking estrogen for women and taking too much and maybe causing breast cancer and all of these other things. So I had to really do my due diligence in finding out what was right for me and what would help me. I have, since then, got the help that I needed, and I'm on a much better road of recovery and feeling more like myself and being able to train now and just being able to function on a daily basis. The past 5 months, I wasn't who I normally am in any regard. So I have decided that I just really need more time to get back to myself, to get back to training, put some size on, and just give my body a little bit more, of a break. I do think 2 years of going like hard back to back just wore on me, and it was scary for a little bit to not really know what was going on. So I'm just taking things slow, and I hope to be back on stage early next year. That's my plan. So I'm just kind of taking it day by day and getting better.
Yeah. I mean, I work at a wellness and anti-aging clinic here in Las Vegas, and Dr. Pierce has been working with women for 30 plus years, and Carrie Cutler, which is she's Jay Cutler's ex-wife. She works with us for the past 15 years too. So we have, I mean, I wish I actually knew. I mean, of course, that's not something that you would shout out to the world that you were going through. But I hear stories like that for the past 5 years that I've been working in the clinic, and it's pretty serious. Yeah, when you don't have hormones, and on top of that, you're doing all the things that you're doing. Because one thing is for a woman to feel somewhat lethargic. I mean, not to say that they don't deserve the same treatment, of course, but they are lethargic after a long day of work. They come back home and they rest. But in your case, you were working and then trying to come back home and go to the gym and then improve your physique to go compete. It's like, holy cow! Like, how can you do that if you have no hormones? It's just impossible. I mean, I know we have a lot of people that work here in the police department, and they go to the clinic because Dr. Pierce is the director of Metro of the police department here. So the guys, they go there to be checked. And we have guys there that were full on, their testosterone was so low and they couldn't function. They were working long hours at night too, so they don't have really time to sleep. They work long hours at night and then just try to sleep during the day, which is, we all know how hard it is because life is going on outside. So they barely sleep. And I would hear stories of men being depressed, and I heard even suicidal confessions that I didn't even know what to do about during my consultations. And 2 months into the therapy, they would come back and they would look and act like a completely different person. And I'm like, how is the world out there saying, put a black mark on testosterone because that's the devil, or telling women, that estrogen or progesterone could potentially give you cancer. Yes, back in the day, there were different types of medications, but right now that are bioidentical. So they're bioidentical hormonal replacement, which is basically giving you back what you lost.
Right. And those studies, after I did research, those studies were done on 70, they were not taking bioidentical paid for. And so you also can't give back somebody those hormones who have been without for so long. It just wasn't an accurate, fair study. And it was sad is that it really did a disservice to women for, the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years that have had to go without treatment. Because prior to that study, women were giving estrogen. In the 1940s, women were on hormone replacement. We knew that it was working. So it's really been eye opening. The struggle women have had to go through in this phase of their life to live the last third of their life, basically, a completely different person than they normally are. Because people don't realize that it's not a sexual thing. It messes with your brain. It's linked to dementia. Like I said, osteoporosis. It really makes your whole body decline by not having hormones.
Yeah.
Don't realize that, and I didn't realize what a mental battle it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for the guys too, the guys who are Dom has a few clients, and a pretty big name out there as an Olympia who was a previous client of his too, who were abusing anti-estrogen so much that they couldn't even move on with their prep because they would get injured, because when you are so low on estradiol, it's very easy for a quad, a hamstring, or a muscle to pop, and
Right.
then you're out. So you're doing all those things that you say, like, whatever it takes, but then whatever it takes you nowhere.
And that's what I was afraid of. I could barely do a squat without feeling my knees were numb. I couldn't hardly hold a weight because the joints and my thumbs hurt so bad. Yeah, and I was worried if I tried to keep pushing that I was going to, rupture a tendon or do something that wasn't going to be good for my long term. So it was hard to, like, when you're so used to going and training hard and being, that person. I just felt like my whole life was being taken away from me. It was crazy. It was like, how can I go from being on the Olympia stage, watching my video, like, how can that be me just 4 months ago? And now I can barely open my car door. I mean, that's how drastic. It's just crazy. So I just, really want to encourage, I'm sorry I get emotional about it.
No, that's okay. You can.
I just want to encourage women to check your hormones. If you're, competing, really stay on top of that. Try to do things as safely as possible and educate yourself as much as possible, because I don't think the guidance that we're getting from some of our coaches is the best. I don't think, not that they're trying to harm us, but I just don't think that they're aware of like female hormones and what we need, and what happens when you give somebody estrogen blockers for almost a year straight, what that will do to you. You can't just do that to your body and then come off everything cold turkey and think that you're going to be fine. You're not. So you have to be careful, and you just have to really educate yourself and do your research and reach out to people when you aren't feeling well, if you are feeling depressed, because I would hate for somebody to have that take it to a level where they can't get back their life, and make irrational decisions when it could be fixed by just getting your hormones balanced, you know?
Absolutely. I agree. And we have nowadays, Sherry, too, we have in our hands a very interesting DNA test that it's the person who created this DNA test, her name is Carmen, and she's actually a women's physique competitor. I believe she's almost 50 as well. She has been competing for a long time. She's very knowledgeable, very intelligent in science, and she created this DNA test, and there are parts of the DNA test that shows you what your body is somewhat capable of handling when it comes to drugs too. So when we talk about genetics, we think that is like, it's the V tapers, the small waist. No, genetics is some bodies are different on PDs or different in diets. And some people can hold on better than others. Like I have people that work with Dom that we look at their blood work literally like 4 weeks later after the Olympia, and their hormones are completely back to normal. And I'm like, and in my case, it takes 6 months, 7 months to get back on my estradiol to go back to somewhat normal. So not to say I wasn't made for bodybuilding, no, but I have to be so proactive.
Right. Right. Not everyone's the same. And I mean, I think that's an amazing that there's a test that can kind of guide you and tell you what it is that you need. And I mean, I would appreciate if you send me her information as well.
Absolutely. And she would die to have a conversation with you because she loves to speak to us in the community because she nerds out. Again, she's another person that books a 1 hour consultation, and Dom and I speak to her for 5 hours, and she goes into details. And the crazy thing too, Sherry, is that on this DNA test, it showed a very high percentage, unfortunately, on my DNA for Alzheimer's. So she said, if you were in the hands of a coach that gave you anti-estrogen and didn't take care of your hormones, your percentage would skyrocket to 100%.
Wow. Wow.
So then Dom was like, he never really gave me any, but now he's like, it's out of the question. But there are things that I saw on the DNA test too that again I had long years of wrong coaching too, where they put me on a ketogenic diet because I was fascinated about it, and I said, "Hey, I like this diet." So they said, "Okay, so you've been doing it for a while. It seems like it's working for you in terms of you being lean. So let's keep at it." When I met Dom, he's like, "Stop this bullshit. No, there is no bodybuilding with this. No, are you kidding me?" So then fast forward, and not only change and I feel much better, but then I looked at my DNA, my carb percentage. So there is a page that shows what micronutrients your body works best. And
Hmm.
my carbs were like 100%. And my fats were like, well, you could do pretty well without it. And I'm like, what the hell? I did the opposite my entire life. I eat my peak week. I ate last year, the Chicago show that you were at, and you actually compliment me. You said you looked great.
You looked amazing. The changes that you made within a year were like mind blowing to me. It was
Thank
crazy.
you.
Because she's
I
finally
ate,
eating.
yeah, I ate close to 1,000 grams of carbohydrates.
Holy shit.
And
Wow.
I was still having a hard time filling up. I had no diuretics, no nothing. And Dom was like, what the hell? It's like, keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. That's crazy. Sherry, I would never know. I would never know if I was still with coaches who have 300 people on their list, and they're just giving me attention 2 weeks before. Like, okay, do this, because they're so busy with so many things. There is no really detail work.
right? I mean, it just seems like every coach gives the same to everybody, but we're not all the same. So it makes perfectly good sense to be tested and to see, how your body does respond to different things.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you're interested. I'm gonna send you her link, and she will absolutely love talking to you.
Absolutely. I I know that bodybuilding is eventually going to have to come to an end for me. We can't all do it forever. But I also just feel like I'm getting, my stride and kind of, getting to where I want to be. I'm not ready to just hang it up yet. I
I love
definitely
that.
doing things in a more safer manner and more specifically to my needs because I know that, like I said, my needs are going to be different than, even say Chelsea's needs. So, I encourage women to be, like I said, more proactive in their own health and really look at their own situation and try to navigate what's best for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Chelsea, I also know that you have some questions for her because you always ask those flash, how do you call it?
Yeah. Wait, what was I calling it? I'm having prep brain.
Was it flash question? I don't quite recall, but there is a
No.
whole set of questions you like to ask.
Okay, let me go to it. Speak about some other stuff while I find it. Oh wait, questions. Rapid fire. Rapid fire.
There we go.
Okay, so just very quick and easy. Are you ready, Sheri?
I think so.
Sweet or savory? A dream vacation spot.
Oh, I think I'd like to go to, well, I mean, I want to go to Greece and Italy for sure, but really want to go to Bali.
Nice.
I was gonna say Brazil. Come on, let's go. Both of you.
What would you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing now? So if you weren't, so you work in the
And
dentist field, right?
yes, I'm a dental
So
hygienist.
what would you be doing if you weren't a dental hygienist?
Like if I could find my life and do it over again,
Yeah, sure.
if I just stopped doing that and I could pick something else, what do we mean by?
Is there anything that any different path that you would have chosen besides, of course, bodybuilding too?
Um, I mean, as far as my career path, I initially I went to college to be an interior designer, and that's what I have my undergraduate degree in.
Cool.
But the reason that I chose that is because I really wanted to be an architect. And I was told in fourth grade that I wasn't very good at math. And so I grew up believing that I wasn't very good at math and never really pushed and tried to become good at math. So I gave up my dream of being an architect because I found out you needed a lot of math and I still wanted to do something sort of in that industry. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do interior design. It's not as much math. And now I kick myself in the ass for not having the confidence in myself when I was younger to go, I'll just get a tutor or I'll practice, I'll get better. I can do math, I'm capable. I didn't believe in myself enough and I gave up my dream career because I didn't believe in myself.
That's interesting.
Isn't it crazy how one simple sentence from somebody so many years ago can affect the way you look at yourself for years?
It really
It's
is.
like it's like, oh, you're not good at math. Okay, well there goes my fucking dream. Like it's crazy.
But it's true. It's true. That is a podcast I can share with you guys too. It's called The Badass Coach, and her last episode was about that. How you got to be careful to be around people that put you down because you will sometimes follow you your entire life.
Yeah. Okay, I got two more. One of your top training songs right now. What's a song that gets you fired up?
Oh my God, I don't really have a particular song. I'm old school hip hop girl. So,
Ooh, okay.
if Biggie comes on or so, I really like, but when I'm training, it's probably, I mean, I just put on a random playlist. It's usually hip hop music, or if I'm doing legs, I like to listen to a little bit more heavy metal. Um,
Okay.
I don't have like a song in particular that I do.
I can
Okay.
see a heavy metal in you. I can see it.
And your cheat meal of choice.
It's usually I just really like a nice juicy steak that's not like a lean sirloin. Like give me a fatty ribeye, bone in
Some
steak.
mashed potatoes, a baked
Yeah,
potato.
yeah. I like rotten cheesy potatoes. Yeah, steak
Loaded, baby.
house. Load me up with fats.
Yeah.
I love that. But Sherry, I would love to have you here in Vegas with us one day.
Yeah, I'd love to come out there.
What city do you live?
I am in Melbourne, Florida, which is about 40 minutes south of Orlando.
Okay,
Love Florida.
Yeah.
I do too. But I would love to have you here with us, right, Chelsea, and train and get something
Let's
to
do
eat
it.
and just
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to come out for a weekend. Train, in Vegas for the Olympia, and the gyms there are amazing. So much better than the ones we have here.
Well, and it wouldn't be around the Olympia, so it wouldn't be so slam packed, and you can actually get a good workout in where you're not depleted and getting ready for a show. It's totally different.
I bet. I bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I know that your boyfriend and Dom talk a lot too. I mean, they talk. They got along when they met each other in Chicago. So I think that would be fun.
Yeah, he'd love to come out there too, I'm sure. Yeah. We went to Torture Gym and really enjoyed the equipment that they had there. I know you train there pretty often, right? Chelsea, I don't know if you train at Torture, but
No, I'm more at Dragons.
But you trained at Torture for about a year, right?
what's that?
Do you, Chelsea, know? You and Matt?
I never had a membership there ever. I would go to like film with like some people, but it was never a home gym for me. We went to strength culture when it was elevation, but
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
that gym ruined my prep, honestly.
Yeah.
The vibe is just not there,
We
It makes
have
a difference.
no vibes here until just recently. There's a IFBB pro. His name is Justin Yurko. He's a 212 guy that just came in town and opened up a gym. So I'm thankful that he's here because he now
Dope.
Arsenal equipment. He got some stuff from a company Bolt that they had a setup out at the Olympia, and it's okay. But just the vibe that he has in his gym is more, bodybuilding. The other gyms that I was training in, it was torture. It was like elevator music and
Oh,
groups of
No. Oh, get ready for a whole like bodybuilding weekend then if you come here because we can hit like literally like
all of
four
the
different
gyms.
gyms. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Sherry, for your time.
yeah. Thanks for having me. It's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, I think that it was very informative and pretty eye-opening too. And I think that we can learn a lot from each other and our experiences. I even told somebody one day, I was like, gosh, I wish we had like a private forum where we share with each other all the stuff that goes, because I feel like we don't really share with each other. So we just kind of get in this mindset that is like it's just a prep. Oh, it's just a prep. It's just how you feel. Dom always uses the example, unfortunately, with me of George when George passed away at the Olympia, and that is one episode in his YouTube that he shares with the video guy or with the people that he's training with. He said there is something different about this prep. I'm feeling so horrible, but I think it's because it's coming. It's a good sign. So we have this mindset, right? That is like no pain, no gain, is the peak week. You're supposed to feel miserable, and it's just the signs.
Right.
How miserable, you're not supposed to feel that miserable.
Well, I definitely
Yeah.
wish that women had more of a platform to talk about the things that we're going through and what we feel in prep or after prep. I think a lot of it is held back because it's not socially accepted, and there's sort of a stigma to it, and people don't want to be open and honest sometimes. But if we had a safe or a safe place to talk to people, I just think it'd be really helpful. I don't know, how to go about doing that. Yeah, it would,
Yeah.
it would be nice to be more open about what we go through and making sure that is this normal? Is this not normal? Is anybody else going through this?
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, which is so true, there are a lot of coaches out there. And I think that I even saw today on female bodybuilding, they are putting something together for a seminar or something like that. But there are a lot of coaches out there that don't really know because my very first coach, he gave me things that I had no idea, right? So I didn't know what they were. But the person that I was with at the time, he said, "No way, you're not going to use this." But if I didn't have that person to say, "No, you're not doing this," I
You would
wouldn't know. I would be like,
try, and and like I said, I don't even necessarily fault a lot of the coaches. I just think there's just not enough information out there. And, so they're treating us like men and we're not.
Yeah. We need so little.
Yeah.
Honest.
That was the one reason that I agreed to do female bodybuilding, that I saw that, it was taking on more of a feminine, um, approach and a look to things, and trying to keep, that femininity in it, because I don't want to lose that. I don't want to give up that side of myself just to have muscle and just to be able to compete. And so I know that there's safe ways to do things. Yeah, I signed up for that course on Female Bodybuilding Channel because I mean the more information you have, the more you learn, the better you're gonna be.
Absolutely. I agree. Did you find a link? I don't think I saw it. Was there a
He
link or something?
hasn't posted it yet. It's going to be on April 13th on a Sunday, but he hasn't given the information about it
Awesome.
just. Yeah.
I'm excited. I might pop on that one too. To just wanna, like you
Yeah.
said, the more the better.
Right. And then, it's supposed to be all female information. So kind of find out what I have and haven't been doing right or wrong, or,
You know who the coach that is doing that
no, I
is?
said somebody out of Europe. So I don't know.
Okay. Is that your coach, Chelsea? I don't think he's into seminars and stuff like that.
No, I don't know. I haven't been watching anything that female bodybuilding's been posting because I'm just trying to like stay in my own world. So I don't know anything that they're doing.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
get off
Yeah.
and social media about 3 weeks out. I just block it all out. So I hear you.
Yeah, I don't need to find myself checking on the other girls and stuff.
No,
I
there's
don't.
no.
That just gets in my head.
I don't like that either. And I remember
Yeah.
before I used to get people would send me share things, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. Like stop.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not like
Like
MMA fights that I can look at somebody's strategy and be like, I'm gonna,
right.
aim
Yeah.
right there because that person really has a. It's not. It's like if she comes in and I come in, what?
And
I just can do my best.
it takes time to realize that it doesn't matter what she fucking looks like 3 weeks out. What does she look like on the day of the show? What do you look like?
Bingo.
Because anything can happen.
They could fuck a peak up.
Exactly. Any
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so all that wasted energy, all of that stress, all that cortisol levels that you're bringing up, thinking about it is just ruining you. So yeah, let it go. But it takes a while to. I was guilty of it. I think we all are.
Yeah. I don't even tag like female bodybuilding channel in any of my photos or anything anymore just because like if they want to share my stuff they can do it, but I'm not asking them to because I really don't want the girls even looking into me either. I want them to be surprised when I show up. So
I'll tell you the first thing I ever did, as far as I don't know if I would have won regardless, but um, going into Portugal, letting Female Bodybuilding Channel know that I was doing that show and coming. They went and told Anastasia and her husband, "You better get lean, healed. You better, Sheri's conditioning, blah 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 blah." And she came more conditioned than she ever has in the past. You know,
yeah.
I'm all of my plans from now
Yeah.
on. Oh, you'll see me when you see me.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, as much as we are thankful for them to advocate and promote, I think that as athletes, we gotta protect ourselves a little bit too, especially when we are going towards, like the final 3 weeks. It's just like shut it all off, and just focus on what you can focus on. Backstage, I told Chelsea and Christina last time we were talking on the podcast too. I used to be like a puppy in the backstage. I wanted to like talk to everybody because I was so new to it too, and I saw some people that I look up to. Now I had my headphones on. I say hi to whoever I need to say hi, but it's like a completely different energy because I it rubs on me if the person is like too anxious. Because some women they lost their numbers, or they don't know where their carb up stuff is, and then it's like running around, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feed off of people's energy too. So I try to keep to myself, at least after prejudging's over, I'm a little bit
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
finals, but yeah, I'm not trying to be bothered by all of this stuff. And back to that Portugal show with the Female Bodybuilding Channel, they were making little comments and, just sort of I understand, trying to create some excitement to the show and, you know, pin you against each other, but I mean, it literally caused her husband to like say a bunch of negative shit about me
He
online.
is not nice.
Well, and
That
then
guy
it
is scary.
yelled me on stage. He literally was yelling things at me during my routine. And then my boyfriend was pissed and confronted him. They almost got into a physical altercation at that show. Like people had to break them up because it was
Oh
so out of line.
my God.
Thinking to myself, this is all because
Female bodybuilding channel.
I wanted to know. But yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's not a good.
Yeah.
And what upset me afterwards is just that I went all that way, and it was my first experience in Europe, and it was ruined because of his behavior and his, you know, the way that it made me feel. Like I couldn't even stay afterwards and take pictures outside and after the show because they were like, you need to, you should go because he comes out here, he might have a knife, it could get like serious, and so like it just ruined my whole experience there.
My gosh, fuck that guy.
I'm glad we were not there, because if we were there, no one's ever like, we will fuck you up. You have no idea who you're messing with.
Yeah. See, they're trying to pin me and like Teresa against each other too when I did a little interview for them like a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, it's just competition. We're just competition. Like, do you expect me to be best friends with her? Like,
But I mean, I respect every woman that gets on that stage. We all put the effort in, we all work hard, we all have the same drive and the same discipline. That I respect everybody. Of course, I want to win. We all want to win, but that doesn't mean
of course.
to each other and unsupportive of each other. This is really It is an independent sport. So do you, and we just show up the best we can on stage, and it's really up to the judges and what their preferences is for the day. I mean, I've gone to shows.
Hmm.
I haven't placed well at one, and then a week later I win. That judge preferred my look that day.
Yeah.
No fault of the other girls on stage, or so to try to like make this. We're not WWE wrestlers that we're like going to go in the ring and one on one, right?
The people's elbow.
It's great.
But yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm so sorry you went through that. And I do recall you saying that in Chicago. You were, of course, high on winning, but I remember you mentioned that it was a tough week because you
Yeah.
were just coming back from Europe and all of that stuff happened. And it's so crazy to me that a man gets involved. I mean, I see
He
the
gets involved
girls
with
and
everything that guy does.
I don't even know, to be honest, I don't even know who this person is,
He like
but
speaks for his wife. Like
Yeah.
she
come
doesn't ever
on.
talk. He's the one who like does all the speaking for her basically. That's what I get from the situation.
It's
That is
crazy.
just, I mean, I'm sorry. Are we back in high school now? Like, what?
Yeah.
It
She
apparently he has done a lot of things to a lot of other girls as well. So it's a pretty common theme for him. Yeah.
I would love for him to try to do something to me cuz Matt would fucking kill him. And he's just waiting for the moment to do it to somebody, not kill him, but beat someone's ass. Like he's just
Well, and that's
waiting to do it. Like I wish a motherfucker would.
it. Like, he's not very tall. He's not threatening at all. But telling my boyfriend like, please don't. I do not want to get deported from Portugal. We still have a few.
No, but come to America.
Well, she
Well,
has a visa now, so she is going to be coming to the Olympia this year.
so they say we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
My gosh.
He does because I'm telling you, he's a handful. So we'll see because
Gosh.
not happy with him at all. Does not care for him at all. If she came to the Olympia last year, he was not going to let her husband into the Olympia. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Fun. Sounds fun. Can't wait. All right. It's time to go get this workout in, Amanda.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you again, Sheri.
All
Yes,
right.
thank you, Sheri.
Good luck with your preps and good luck this season. I'll be watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
send you all the links and everything that we spoke about today.
Yes, please do. All
I
right.
will. Bye,
Bye.
guys. Bye bye.
Bye.